Hello everyone, let's start. Welcome back after the spring break. Thank you for the submission we had the individual conference before the break. You all submitted the first draft of your introduction chapter. And with the continuation of what we have been doing, the next submission will be, you'll be editing your first draft based on the suggestions that we have discussed. Also, you'll include a few more things that would be a part of literature review, as we decided for this course this time. Let's not make a separate chapter of literature review. You can blend literature review in the introduction so that I can read all of your submissions, and we'll have another individual conference, by the way. The due date is quite far. It's in April. I exactly forgot the date. Perhaps the first week of April. You can check in Canvas. So that would be around 1,500 words of the introduction chapter that will include literature review also. So based on this future target, what we will be doing, today's class and this week's next class will also focus on the same thing: synthesizing sources. So we have a few sources, for instance, in our Excel sheet. You remember that you all pen down a few lists, right? So these resources, for instance, we have. Now, today's class won't be on this. I'm just showing you this so that we know what we're aiming at. This is the aim when we have these resources, how we construct a cohesive paragraph or multiple paragraphs or a chapter, synthesizing this, which means bringing different ideas and opinions on the same board, on your plate. So how we manage that, how we organize that, what's the language needed or required to write these kind of things. And usually, I said before also, it could be a separate chapter of literature review. Sometimes it is also blended in the introduction. It varies from discipline to discipline. So in short, today's class is all about how we synthesize sources. And next class also. In the next class, actually, we'll be doing on your sources. Today, we will see other samples, others' works, how it is done in the book and also from slide and the canvas. Let's have a look. So let's get to know a little bit in detail what we understand by synthesizing sources. So we put on board lots of evidences, which is also called corroborate, when we put lots of evidences to support an argument. That could be not necessarily that has to support each other. That could be in contrast even. So there could be similarities of multiple opinions. There could be a contrast of multiple opinions, which we also know as refute. We expand certain ideas. We add different values, different information. So that's different sources, A, B, C, D, E, F, we're putting on board. That's the basic of synthesizing sources. Now, how we do it and how we develop the interrelation between those different sources, linguistically, conceptually, thematically, we will see a few examples today. So that's the objective for this week. And based on this learning, when we will write our own synthesizing sources, we'll try to incorporate these ideas that we will practice today. And when we write our own one, let's that be a very shorter one in the next class when we'll do it. Maybe 200-300 words. I'll also give you feedback in class, and that would be a peer review one also. So as I'm talking about developing the interrelationship between different sources, let me show you a brief example, then we'll have the theoretical talk. If you click on this doc file, it's not a writing test, nothing. Just if you click on it, then I need to know which one you like On the same topic, 2 examples. We'll read these 2 examples, and you have to choose this one I like because of this, and this one I do not like because of that. Just, that's what I want at the moment. We have 2 examples. Example 1, what problem you think it has in the writing structure, or you don't like it. Or example 2, you prefer more than example 1. That's all. Let's have a few minutes and give it a reading. We all could access the file.
Where is that? Is it 9?
Yes, so it's example 1. This one, the first link. Warm up in the slide. Okay. It's a pretty simple example on a simple topic. We'll get to the harder ones later. Let me know if you're done reading. Done? We all have chosen one that we like. We are ready to discuss why we like that. Let's begin. Anyone can voluntarily speak. Just as a warm-up, I'm starting the class with this, with 2 examples. Who'd like to speak up? Anyone who feels to speak up? Please.
Example 1, parents always find ways to encourage healthy eating in their children.
No, I mean, which one you like? Example 1, 2?
Example 2, I guess.
2. So what could be the reasons you think you like example 2?
It's actually more organized and give the similarity difference between the articles and suggestions.
Okay, so one point is it's well organized. We all agree? So what's the problem in example 1? Anyone else would like to add? The problem in example 1?
It's just not complete.
It seems not complete. So what makes you think this is a complete one?
It seems to have the conclusions.
Good point. So when we synthesize, that means that's the toughest, I would say. That's the difference between summarization and synthesizing. When we synthesize, we reach a conclusion. We do not only talk about what other people, or before me, what other researchers or other resources that I'm referring to. I'm not only summarizing or quoting them or referring those works or those researchers. I am adding my own opinion and reaching to a new conclusion using those synthesizing, those sources. Okay? So let's see, let me show you this in a quick way. The first is a topic sentence. The both examples, they do have it. The next, here, it's not cohesive because it jumps from one topic to the other and we don't know what's going on. That's one point. Whereas in the second example, you would see before referring others, it mentions what it wants to refer. So different scientists and educators have different strategies. So we now expect, that's how we set up expectations. Now we are expecting, okay, so we'll get to know different strategies that could differ with each other or that could corroborate with each other. It could be similarity based on similarities or it could be in contrast with. Objective, either to inform us or could be argumentative or both. In this case, maybe argumentative and informative both. The difference is there are basically 2 sorts of synthesis. Either it's explanatory or informative, or it's argumentative when multiple ideas refute with each other, contradict with each other, or add new layers. So either it's explanatory synthesis or argumentative synthesis, or could be both. So we see here, perhaps, when we see, for instance, the first reference suggests in the article title mention, we see an in-text site, an in-text site. Similarly, so when we see this phrase, we understand adding up new information. So it's not contrasting yet. In the next sentence, again, adding it up, suggestions. Is there any alternative suggestion given? Any contrasting suggestions? Maybe no, right? And in the end, we see a conclusion. It reaches a conclusion based on the ideas presented in between. So in between, other ideas were presented. We understood the topic. There is a conclusion that has been reached. Any confusion so far? It was pretty simple, I guess. The example? Whereas it was not cohesive and we don't know where we are going in the previous one. Anyone who has something to say? let me take you back to the slide now. So if you click on the next link here, informative and argumentative synthesis, so you see here more examples of synthesizing sources. How do we synthesize? Whenever we say synthesize, we mean multiple sources, source A, B, C, D, author, researcher, book, journal, whatever we are quoting or citing or referring to. The work that has been done before me that I'm using in my paper. You'll see here these two differences. What is an argumentative synthesis? What is an explanatory synthesis? I'll not go in detail. I just gave you the link so that if in case you need to know. But I guess we understand the difference. When we're explaining and adding same information, similar information, not contradicting, we are writing an informative synthesis. And sometimes we can blend. Depends on a topic. Blend as in informative synthesis and argumentative synthesis. So there are two kinds of synthesis, basically. Now, I'll get back to the 6 steps. The most important thing is the next link of the same site. 6 steps. How do we write synthesis? Because that's what we'll be doing this week. So the first task is we choose our topic. We also have seen in the example, there is a topic which you have chosen to write, to start with. And then we organize the discussion, we refer multiple authors, we'll see languages, how many languages, what kind of structure and language we use when we include similar opinion-based authors, or we want to express contrast, not similarity. We'll see those examples. So I'll just briefly go through the 6 steps first, and if you have any questions, we'll answer that out also. And then we'll see examples of writing structures. So the next step is, the second step, the materials. And we are referring to those materials. The third step is continue to lead the discussion among the authors of your sources. So this is a very critical part because it develops, you're not only quoting them, you're adding your opinion to reach your conclusion. You're using those tools, the authors that you're mentioning, the researchers that you're referring or citing, right? And mostly what is we see absent when we develop the 4th stage is a logical guidance. We summarize and we illustrate. We give examples. We do not only cite. We illustrate what we're citing. The 5th step. We are commenting on those citations or resources when we are synthesizing them. The 5th, after comment, the 4th step. The 5th, we illustrate with examples. We give examples based on whatever we have cited, right? The 6th is the difficult part that I mostly see absence in many new research papers or writers who are writing new or just started writing. This final step that we just have discussed, a concluding point to reach that conclusion, because that conclusion is actually your research question. You can just write the 6th is, oh, it is written already here. That's the answer to your research question. That's the 6th step in literature review. So let me repeat again. We add these 6 steps sometimes in the introduction also. Sometimes it could be a different chapter. The 6 steps start with, you find your topic, and then you bring all those materials on board, the previous research works, you add the logical progression, you develop the idea, you summarize those things, you illustrate by giving examples, you reach a conclusion. That's the basic 6 steps. Any confusion so far? In the Excel spreadsheet, you have provided your resource materials. So following these 6 steps, we'll try to develop our own paragraph, like in the doc file we have just seen one example. of synthesized sources. We'll do that in the next class. Today we will see more examples, and mostly now we will dive deep into the grammatical and linguistic aspect of similarity and contrast. Let's go to per usual so that I can take you here. Page 221 if you have the hard copy of the book, and page 233 if you want to type in the per usual page number box. We all got into per usual? Before we attempt this task, I just want to show you after the next 2-3 pages, you would see there's a discussion on language also, the way we express similarity when we bring multiple authors having a similar opinion on certain topic. For instance, similar to likewise, as in X, as in A, B, C, D, whoever the author is, in A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z, whatever. So that's how multiple language structures are given in this book. We'll see all those in the task, just showing you if you need to learn more, and if you ever find any confusion, like maybe I'm repeating the language structure, what other possible style I can apply. So there's a list of it here in this book. To show contrast, what other linkers, phrases, connectors you can use. There's a list of it with examples. Not only the list is given, but also academic research paper example is given also. How the sentences are developed. If you think that, oh, I'm using too much to express contrast, maybe I'm repeating in contrast with too much. So use something else. Change it. Change the connector. Confusion? All good? So that is on page 225 and 227. But now, right now, we'll just do task 14, which is just reading and discussion. You don't have to write anything. Task 14, let me explain the task first. There's a passage here, and this is a passage on synthesizing sources. So various sources have been synthesized here. Now, when the student wrote this synthesized passage, there's a comment by the instructor on that synthesized sources. The first task is, do you also agree with the instructor's comments on that particular assignment a student did? So we'll read the student's submission and we'll read the instructor's comment. Gotcha? That's all. Then we'll get back to the discussion. you think the comments are too harsh? Yeah. Was I pleasant by commenting on your paper? Pleasant than this? Definitely. I'm not like this, right?
Sure.
I'm joking. This is too harsh, I know. We all are done? Awesome. Now, the important part is, first question, we all agree with all the comments? Is there anyone who thinks that this comment, I do not agree, I think it's fine? I mean, the writing is fine, this comment doesn't make sense. Is there anyone? So we all agree with the comment. So I'll not get in detail. So now, where will I go is a group task.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, please go ahead.
The first comment, the instructor mentioned that you have discussed only 3 resources or 3 studies. So do we have a number of specific?
Not fixed. That's why it's not a negative comment. It's a query. So there are even in comments there are many categories when we comment. So one is a query, one is a feedback like change something, or there's a flaw, correct it. So this is just a query. So is on this topic only 3 sources you have, or you have more? In a way, 3 is actually less for a research paper. But if it's something that nothing else exists, or then that's a different thing. If the first one innovating something, that could be different. But usually 3 references, I would say very less. You know. So now, based on these instructions or comments, the student changed the writing. So this is the second draft. In the second draft, what we have to do as a group, you can form your group according to your convenience. We have to find those 6 steps, the 6 steps that I just have taught in that link. The 6 steps of synthesizing sources. So what you can do is, you can highlight one sentence. Here I find step 1. Here I have found step 6, 5, 4, 3, whatever. That's it. We have to find the 6 steps are here or not. If not, we can say I couldn't find that one. That's also fine. All good? And we'll do it together. Let's not do that part individually, but read the second draft first. So the instructor's comments were met or not, the suggestions or the feedback the student corrected in which way, and then you try to find the 6 steps. You remember the 6 steps link in the same slide? And let the group be, it's 3 members group better than 2 members, if possible. So it has to be 3-3-2 then, right? You have to join them.
Okay.
So you 3, you 3, you 2 have to. Is it okay? I repeat, our task is step 1 is in that sentence. In sentence 5, I found step that. Gotcha? That's it. This is the link for the steps. If you want me to open that, I can open it here also. And there could be overlapping also. Overlapping as in it's not like one sentence will only talk about step 3. The same sentence can be merged with step 2, 3, 4.
We should have the same order.
Now the thing is, step 2, 3, 4, 5 will blend in many sentences. That's the style of writing you might see here. That when you're developing your arguments, you're adding your opinion along with the reference, so it goes alongside. So in short, what I mean, one sentence can have multiple steps. And it's a very nice revision of the compared to the first draft. If you're done reading the passage, you can do it together, finding the steps. And let me know if you have any confusion, question, query. to answer your question, it will not be in the same order, by the way.
Yeah.
Because,
I found that.
yeah.
You can say it's shown that it's a summarization of a particular paper, which is also scientific. Correct? It's a summarization of a particular research. The sentence order. So that would be there could be two steps here. That's what you mean. That's yeah, right. Yeah, because you're organizing the discussion and also the point is fourth point, where you summarize, right? The fourth point? Oh, the fourth is logical progression, so the third is summarization. So it has step 3 to
Summarizing.
yeah. So I'm illustrating an example right now, so it's not step 5. There could be multiple steps in one system.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be, no, that's the balance of the whole text. Now, the thing that you did in the Excel sheet, that looks like steps. Okay, this is the main topic, this is the argument, this is this is that. In the Excel sheet, when you synthesize, you put your resources, but then when you put in a paragraph, things will blend.
So let's say step like 5 would be all in.
Now, the 5 is when I'm commenting, illustrating an example. Yeah, so illustrating examples. So that way,
First sentence or second sentence.
step 5 will be very late when I'm illustrating examples. It's actually talking about examples.
Oh, okay.
When we sometimes see, for example, before the phrase, for example, we have theory. The theory can be summarized. And then we give an example.
So the example is for my own examples.
Or it could be a reference. Or it could be your research.
So it's okay to write an example from my own experience based on the theory that I've
Yes, definitely.
Like in this case, I'm gonna curve the theory to convince the reader. what I'm
Yes,
believing.
yes.
That's
Yeah, this is
use
no
examples too. They capture the all the audiences.
Yeah, because you have to ultimately prove your point, the destination that you want to reach.
Yeah,
And
it's spiritual science. If I'm gonna be shifting the
if it's not logical fallacy, then I can do it. If it's connected, and if I disagree with the example and choose, then I have to write another paper finding the gap that you have in your paper. That's what you're doing also. You found the gap in somewhere. You're right. Someone else will find a gap in here and will write. That's how knowledge is built up.
no, but if while I'm writing, I am aware there is a gap.
Then your editor will give you correction. That there's a gap like this. That there's a gap in this example of theory. Can you elaborate that or connect it properly? Then you'll get a suggestion from the editor. Please. I know. Sentence 4, yeah, we haven't talked about sentence 4, that's simple. Yeah, go ahead. So you're confused that it's my opinion or it's a summarization of. So I would say it's a continuation of the discussion. Yeah. Because in the previous sentence, already the topic and what the discussion is has been set. Now, the next sentence started with one discussion. It's continuing. Yes, right. Yeah, that's also continuation. Got it? Yeah, so it's also, it includes sentence 5, 4 and 5. Right. You can also write that if one sentence has 2 steps. You can also write that it has 2 steps blended in. And that's the balance we have to make when we will be writing our own sentences. That we will blend this balance. Thank you.
So there is no side here.
Overlapping steps.
for example, then it would say why is it
If it's summarizing, if it's illustrating,
Giving an example.
giving an example that's an illustration, definitely.
Yeah, so any sentence that begins with, let's say, for instance, for example, sentence number 5, if they say for instance, or if they say for example, does it mean the example has to refer the paper or refer an instance?
Now, step 5 is when we illustrate a concept, or
Okay.
that's step 5. We illustrate. Now, for instance, or for example, can be used in various places.
Yeah.
I cannot generally say there is, for example, that means it's step 5. I cannot do that. We don't know, I mean, until I read the whole sentence.
Yeah.
So when we read the sentence, and if we think that it's an illustration,
Okay.
the example is an illustration of the theory mentioned
Yeah, I'm not sure.
or referred or cited before that, then it's step 5, definitely.
Just an example.
Where do you find it here? Just
So for instance, number 7,
Number 7, correct.
scraping sound waves. So the
it's illustration.
yeah.
It's illustration. Because the previous sentence is a general category. Other research has done this, for example.
So it's going to be step.
Yeah. You guys have discussed it together.
Yeah.
Any confusion?
Go ahead.
It's in the scope. No, it's not someone else. It is actually, it is not someone else, right? It is this writer is right here.
Yeah, I guess it's.
Yes, it's, if it's someone else's view, then there would be a citation. No, it's his or her opinion. Right? It's a comment. It's a comment that, yes,
So at the section of related work, all the sentence, I mean, I'm talking about something, all the sentence should be cited. So
in the section of
literary review or related work.
not necessary.
So I can't get.
You have to. That's what synthesizing sources is. You must. You cannot just bring whatever was done before and summarize them. You have to add your opinion. Otherwise, it will not lead anywhere.
Yeah, I'm just.
Yeah,
sure that I'm
yeah.
right.
The citations are only to help your argument, not only to promote the previous one. No, there's a difference. To develop your argument, that means your opinion will be merged in every other sentence.
So to develop my argument or develop my topic to be specific. Let's say, for example, the researcher said, it's not an argument.
Oh, I mean, research not necessarily has to be an argument. It could be informative, it could be explanatory. Yeah.
So,
Top, yeah. Or your research question, what you want to invent, or what you.
my topic genre.
Yeah. Yeah. Topic is a very general word. Yeah. The particular research question that you have that you answer.
My topic questions.
Research questions, that's better phrase to use.
Yeah, well, the information that is necessary for my topic. For
Right.
information necessary for my
To establish your own,
questions.
yeah, to establish your own research grounds.
Yeah, let's say I have a question about something. I don't get on the related work right now. to discover? How can I answer the question? Like it's you cannot invent the wheel from the beginning. I'm continuing the work.
Yeah, and the way, the language you use to express the previous works, that should not be only a summarization, but also along with your comments.
It should not answer the
Yeah.
question.
It will answer your question in the end. The sixth step is your research question should be clear cut. Answer.
You didn't answer my question. So what's the purpose for my research?
This purpose of research is everyone who reading it will understand research questions. What is research?
The answer to the questions is nothing yet. Answer.
In the method section, in the results section, will give the answer. In the results
Yeah,
section,
but literature review.
we'll have the hypothesis where what you want to do. That's what the research question is. What I'm willing to do. That's what means when we say research question. The purpose of this paper.
So what's the purpose for the related work? Related work establish the
You mean
ground.
your paper?
Yeah, let's say for example my paper. Related work
I
is
actually forgot the paper.
the collaboration, teams, previous collaboration, the future collaboration. You have no idea.
I forgot the paper.
You
I
have
have to read it. Yeah, I know. I mean, I have.
Hello? No,
So
no,
many papers.
I was
I remember all the papers. Yes.
So my question is related work because I have another question. Is what's the difference now between related work and the introduction? Because I read the book and so many references, but still there's a confusion.
What's the question now?
So the related work or literary review is establishing the ground for my question, but it's supposed to not answer my questions, my research question. Let's say I'm asked, let's say one of the questions is children gain weight.
Actually, in introduction section, we mention our total purpose in move 3.
Right.
Move 2 mentions the gap. Move 3 mentions how my paper will occupy the gap. So actually, the research question is well settled in the introduction. What this paper will contribute.
Yeah, but it should be answered. I mean, I have to mention some questions, all my questions in the introduction.
Yeah.
At least an overview.
Yeah,
What I'm
definitely.
trying to
Yeah,
the last part.
yeah.
This is introduction. So literature review.
We'll establish the grounds.
It's like an easy part.
The it brings the evidences. The literature review brings previous research on the same topic, previous works, quotation citations, what other people did. That's what the purpose of the literature review is.
Yeah, but how can I determine the scope of the literature review? Now, if we talk about team collaboration, there are so many people published.
About a particular topic, we cannot now discuss because I don't remember the paper. Whenever you're mentioning team collaboration, that's you talk about your paper, I have to read it.
It's just like judgment call. It's not the scope of your the papers you cite. Right? You,
I didn't get it.
I mean, I understand your question. How could you limit the number of the citations
Yeah.
paper researchers? There are so many tons of researchers.
Oh, that's what question is?
Yeah, one of the questions.
How could you decide which papers you accept? Which paper you bring to?
To my literature.
Yeah, which so like
But I'll answer that.
in my case, like I could use 4 papers papers of the dissertations from 10 previous researchers, 20 researchers.
Then we 20, 120, what is it?
This is judgment call.
Mm-hmm. So that's a judgment call, yes, right? That's a nice phrase. It's your fault.
Nobody.
Nobody will ask you why haven't you used that paper.
But if
You
I
are free to
so
use.
in my research, in the method section, I may miss some gaps needs to be covered.
I think it's your question.
So let's say I covered all the literature review and continue this another section, it's a method.
Method only talks about the process,
Yeah.
how the research is done.
So the process, there is no relation between
There's your method? No, not at all. In any way. Method class is next Monday, so you get the language how the method is done.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to connect all the parts. So
Yeah.
introduction, give a overview, my questions, literature review, establish the ground of the.
And sometimes the literature review is merged with the introduction, not necessarily the literature has to be separate.
Can I take some sentence from a literature review in my introduction?
They need to merge it.
Yeah, I paraphrasing.
Not necessarily you have to bring a separate chapter. Literature review and introduction are together.
Let's say I decided to put it in separate chapter.
Then definitely, you cannot repeat.
No, I can paraphrase it.
It has to, it's not about words. What I mean is every chapter should provide a new knowledge. Otherwise, there's no need to create a separate chapter.
But I can provide new knowledge in introduction.
Yeah, then if everything is introduction, in the introduction, you don't need to repeat that with different knowledge, with different language.
In the literary
You don't need to do that. Then you don't need to separate chapters. You can have one chapter, include literature reviews there, if you don't need to create a separate. And it's up to you how many previous works you choose, 5, 10, 20, whatever. That's a judgment call.
My question is, what about literature we could also give it like a missing part, a gap in the research. Previous research does not have touch this part, my literature.
Right. The research question, which is step 6, actually establishes your research question, the gaps that you have already provided. X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, those authors, those researchers have done and said this and that, and yet something was not touched that you were referring. That's
This is a literature review or an introduction.
literature review, yes,
It could be
literature review.
literature.
And it is mentioned in one sentence only, in introduction. But now here we see a complete logical progression of paragraphs explaining that one sentence in the introduction, move 3 or move 2. The gap. Yeah. Please. Sorry?
So we start with illustration.
Step 6, you mean? What step is that? So, first of all, in literature review, we do not write the results.
You have done the review.
Others results, and we mentioned that's how we prove the gap in the previous
So
results.
it's not
And
by.
that's how we prove
I shouldn't start by introduction.
this gap with that
It's
person.
not step by step.
And that's the research question, step
The
6.
studies in my area is a little different to engineering, so
How did you decide the scope?
Oh, when you were mentioning other results,
If you didn't have.
if you're not commenting on it, then actually you are just either illustrating someone's, just step 5, if you're illustrating someone else's result or theory.
But there isn't.
This is actually the writer's opinion.
Most relevant topics touch.
This is the writer's opinion. 11. Both humans and animals have similar reactions to the, then there will be cycles. However, it's actually, the writer is commenting on the paper. The writer.
You pick your paper by the scope.
Correct.
Not by.
Yeah.
Or both.
And which he took or she took.
So it's
Not necessarily, I mean, there could be multiple conclusions of that paper, we don't know that. So as an author, you are only including or picking out what you need to do.